So I am at the back of the property now, and as you can see, there's a strand of trees right there. They're all hackberries, and in between them there's a T-post. That's the fence line basically. So what happens is hackberries are fast-growing trees. They're a good tree. They provide a lot of habitat for wildlife. Birds like them obviously, because otherwise they wouldn't be in the fence line. So what happens is that birds eat the seed, they stand on the fence line, they poop, and then out comes a hackberry right in the middle of the fence line. So over time, when the fences are let go, like this one is, you get big trees on the fence line. And then when you want to redo your fence, well, it's next to impossible because the trees are in there. So as much as I love trees and as much as I hate to see these trees go, they gotta go. So I'm gonna start working this here. I got this big tree here. This is about probably a good 18 inches across. I already started right there making my wedge. My chainsaw started heating up. I think I ran out of oil, so I'm gonna give it another shot. This was back in August. It was so hot, and I ended up giving up on this tree. So I'm gonna go from behind. I'll take out the wedge, go from behind, cut it. So there it is. The tree is fallen. So you begin with a wedge. Okay. You cut on the front side. You cut a wedge like this. You cut a wedge out. So this was like that. That part of the tree, you cut that out, and then you come from behind, like here. So that wedge creates a hinge, and that pretty much drives where the direction of the tree where it's gonna fall. Of course, you have to work with the tree in the direction that it's leaning, but I've seen some guys that can rock a chainsaw pretty good, that even the tree's leaning in a different direction, they're able to hinge it right to make it fall to where they want it to fall, like away from a roof or something like that. And sometimes they tie it and kind of pull it, you know, but pretty much that's what it is. So I wanted this tree to fall in that direction, away from the fence line, away from my neighbor's property. So there it is. So now that's kind of the easy part. The hard part is kind of cutting this up a little bit and getting it out of the way so I can keep on working. A lot of good wood here. I mean, this is some good wood. And I might come back with a tractor back here and get me some buckets of wood for winter. Maybe I can give it to my neighbors, with the caveat that this is not very wood for burning inside or anything, just patio fires and stuff like that. I've grilled with this wood. It's not bad. It's not bad. If you season it for about 6 months, it works just fine. But you got to season it in a dry place. You know, you can season oak out in the elements and it doesn't rot. This one rots very easily if it's out in the elements. But if you season it under cover with good ventilation, it'll dry out nicely, and it's good for cooking. This tree's out of commission. On to the next one. I'm just gonna cut this one a little bit more here, just to keep it out of the fence line. And that's it. Okay, well, I've done three trees. There's one over there, another one, and this little bitty one. So I'm kind of trying to land them all in the same direction. This one, I tried clearing it through these two small trees, but it still got hung up because of the foliage. But anyway, it's a easy tug to bring it down. No big deal. So as you can see, the fence line is starting to look better. Over there, those railroad ties back there, that's the brace. So it's gonna come straight through here. So keep on working here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more trees to knock down. That hackberry is gonna be a pain in the ass, I can tell already. And that's an elm. Man, I really hate to take the tree down. That's such a beautiful tree. I'm gonna try to see if I can save that tree. Elms, I like elm trees. It's a nice wood and it's a nice tree. So I'm gonna see if I need to. I'm not gonna take it down today. When I pull the wire And if it's still in the way, I'll see what to do about it. Maybe put a board or something to protect it. Hackberries, I don't really care much for them. But elm trees, I want more elm trees on my property. That's a nice tree. Look at that. Whoa. That's a beautiful tree. Okay, I'll come back to you soon, folks. So I have 4 more trees to knock down. Well, 5, we'll count that little bitty one right there. 5 hackberry trees to knock down. So of the 5, that one right there looks like he wants to fall that way. This one is trying to fall towards me, so I'm gonna knock it down towards me. Then that big one right there wants to go down this way, but there's a bunch of trees, so it's gonna get hung up on these trees here. So we'll just have to deal with that later. And then the other one can easily can fall into my property. And once I take this one out, that one is not gonna get tangled. So I'll knock it down that way. Here's the one that got tangled right now. It's all processed already. And there it is. That was a small tree. That's only probably about 10 inches. Let's see. Yeah, but my hand's about 8-9 inches. And that tree is about 3-4 inches more, about 3 inches more. So give or take 10-11 inches. Now if we look at this tree in comparison, I never really measured this tree. That's a pretty decent tree. So this is basically 1 hand, 2 hands, 3 hands, 24 inches, 24, 27 inches, I don't know. Somewhere around there. This one's a good 20 inches. So anyway, the only challenge you want right now here, I think, will be that one right there. That's a pretty decent size too. That's also about a 25-inch tree. And that's as far as they go, folks. I mean, there are some trees here that are 30-40 inches around, and when I was a little younger and a lot more stupider than I am now, I would cut those down, and I realized that that's not a good idea. And I wouldn't cut them down just because they're there, just cut them down because they were on the fence line. But still, it's a lot of risk in there, at least for me. There is. It's how a small chainsaw too. It's an 18-inch bar. One thing about when to cut trees is that you want to wait till the fall, when the sap is kind of going back into the roots. You have a lot less trouble handling a tree like that too, and also the weather's a lot nicer. Definitely you want to cut them like those boat arc trees. They're full of sap and they gunk up your chainsaw really bad, so you want to wait for winter for those trees. And if you want to preserve the trees for posts, like fence posts, well, the hackberries will never be good for fence posts. But if you want to do like a boat arc for a fence post, then if you cut it in winter, it's even better because it's got no sap. Otherwise, if you cut it in the spring, it's got sap in it, and the bugs try to get to it, and it's a real hard wood. I mean, they eventually give up and go away, but they do make a lot of little holes when they're going for that sap. If you cut it in winter, that minimizes quite a bit. So I'm gonna try to get these trees out of the way. I'll come back to you in a minute. Safety tip: when you're cutting a tree, okay, you make your wedge, you come in from behind, starts toppling, but it gets hung up. No big deal. But be careful, because this tree has got no way to go forward, so it's going to kick back. So you don't want to be right there, because if you're right there, if your foot's right there and that tree kicks back, it'll break your foot. It'll crush it. So you want to come from the side slowly, maybe go work the other side until there's nothing holding on to it, and maybe then it'll fall. Maybe you have to do more work with it, but just be very careful, because that tree is gonna kick back for sure. Okay, because the pressure has got too much pressure, and it's got nowhere else to go. It's tied up there. See, so it can only go back. See, there it is. It kicked back about a few inches, not much, because it kind of rolled and then kicked. kicked back. So that's okay. So I went behind it, kind of carved out a little more, and then I went on the other side, carved a little more, and then came back to this side until it gradually just kind of kicked off. And so now now it's cut, right? But it's hanging there, so I'm not gonna leave it there because it's a risk to somebody on an ATV or a cow or myself, you know. So you cannot leave a tree like that. You gotta make sure you completely take it down. Okay, folks, I'm gonna call it a day. I got my new neighbor waiting for me on his property. When I get to meet him, he just got there. Oh, mother of Jesus. This last tree that got hung up there, that's the hardest one to take down. It got hung up on so many branches. Anyway, my neighbor, my front neighbor, I got 3 neighbors. My front neighbor, he sold his property. He went to Colorado, and somebody else bought him, bought his property, and he says he doesn't know much about farming or ranching or anything. He just bought the property as an investment. So I'm gonna go meet him right now, say hello to him and stuff like that. And I'm gonna call it a day, folks. So it's 3 o'clock. It's a good day today. And I'm gonna go eat something else. Until next time, hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.